Welcome to Now Serving a Side of Therapy, your intro guide into the therapeutic world. Together, we'll explore various aspects around how to show up for ourselves and others by tending to our own mental and emotional well-being. I'm your host, Dalton Huckabee, a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I'm grateful you've joined me.
And so when we talk about this one-on-one aspect, again, in my mind, I'm thinking student and teacher by themselves. And I can't help but wonder, where does the socialization part fit into all of this?
Thank you. Honestly, thank you for that question because I probably get that question more than any other. Parents are super excited to hear that we're going to be able to meet their students' needs academically and help them be a better student. But then, of course, they're going to ask about the socialization. Um, you know, what I like to say is the only thing siloed at Fusion Academy is that 50-minute class time. That 50 minutes dedicated to math, reading, science, your elective, whatever it is that you're doing with us, that academic session is what's siloed so that that learning can take place right then and there, dive as deep as we need to, learn all the content, learn it to mastery, not just to pass the test, but to understand the content fully. That's our goal in that academic session. Everything else is socialization. There's 10 minutes between every single class, and we're small on purpose. So it's not like students are racing to get to the other end of campus for their next class. It's all, we're small. So there's socialization then. There's also clubs and activities that take place every day of the week. And it's not clubs and activities that we adult administrators say, oh, these kids are going to love to do this. They have decided what clubs and activities they want to do. They make a list at the beginning of the school year. That list then is voted on by all of the students and whittled down to 5 or 6 clubs, and they take place in the second half of the lunch hour. So every student is highly encouraged, it's not mandatory, but highly encouraged to join at least one of those clubs. And you'd be surprised at what some of the subjects are. I mean, like one of the clubs that takes place, it's a mental health wellness club. They decided that. They puzzle, they talk to one
Wow.
another. They chose that. They wanted that. It gives me cold chills just saying it. That's not something you would have heard of even just a few years ago. People being that open about wanting to discuss each other's challenges, not just, take the time to talk about their own with their therapist. They're willing to have these discussions to help their peers. There's a debate club. Again, super impressive. And they're learning to have these conversations and these arguments without fighting, which is a skill our adults in our life could definitely learn. I'm looking at you, politicians. They're
Exactly.
learning that here at Fusion, right? There's a sewing club. And a lot of the kids made their Halloween costumes last year, and I venture to guess they're going to do the same this year. Ping pong club, Mario Kart racing club. The clubs depend on the campus, right? And what those students decided to bring to life. Which I personally think is just huge. And then there's leadership opportunities within those clubs too. So if there's students who want to take on a leadership role, that's something that they can, roll onto a transcript and roll into their college application showing that they've taken, more initiative. We also have a monthly field trips every Fusion Academy does. But here in San Mateo and Foster City, our campuses are only 6 minutes apart. So we get both of these campuses together every month for a large, group field trip. So people get to meet each other outside of, their one campus, interact with the other campus, the other teachers at the other campus, those parents that come as chaperones. So it really builds a good sense of community there as well. We have prom, we have graduation. The Bay Area campuses, the ones that are closest in proximity together, get together and make these events big, just like they would be, and special, just like they would be if they were graduating from any other, more traditional school. The last thing I'll mention when it comes to the socialization is we also do student workshops monthly. Those are building on things like being inclusive, how to be assertive, how to be more attentive, how to just building on anything that's social emotional driven that's going to help them be better humans. We can do everything we can in that 50-minute class period to help with the academics and make a student smarter. But if we're not helping grow their social emotional learning skills, we're not doing them any favors. We're not helping them be the well-rounded humans that we all want to interact with day to day. They need to learn social cues. They need to learn boundaries. They need to learn how to read the room, right? And those are skills that some adults take for granted that are just inherent, but they're not, especially if you're working with a neurodiverse population. That takes training. That takes, a lot of understanding,
Yeah,
and a
absolutely.
tremendous amount of communication between their peers and the any leaders that are helping to run those clubs and activities, especially those student workshops. So we take that piece just as seriously as we do the academics, and want that to be forefront of everything we do at Fusion.
Yeah, what I like the part when you said that there are like leadership opportunities, but then also ways for them to engage in these other kind of like um their own like driven ideas,
Yeah.
right? Because I It, well, it's I think maybe public school, I heard the other day, like they might offer like some kind of like leadership of opportunities, which is great, right? Because especially if someone's not really kind of like maybe they need that added skill development in order to help them grow socio-emotionally, right? Or
Um,
at least have that opportunity made available to them. Um, and so, but I often think about it from this idea of, okay, or from this perspective of, okay, kids have an idea, right? But then how do they grow that idea? And so usually there aren't opportunities for them to kind of like take this idea that I have, right, that might be outside of the curriculum that I'm being taught and learn how to develop that and maybe even grow it in a team environment.
mhm.
I mean, I think that's pretty cool because I know
Yeah,
even for myself, when I was like, like a late teenager, I had this particular idea that I was really interested in, but I didn't know how to develop and grow that idea. I was
no,
just talking about that with someone the other day. So the fact that they have, that students there at Fusion Academy have an opportunity to be able to not only participate and vote on, right, about
um,
what ideas they want, but then also be able to engage in their own creative skills and with others to kind of grow that. I
yeah,
think it's pretty awesome.
I think so too. It's a really special place to be every day, because you get to see those ideas come to life. You get to see the excitement on the kids' face when they're doing something they care about, right? It's a again, I know I've used the word game changer a couple of times, but that's just the first thing that comes to mind because you can see the spark, and sometimes, the parents will tell you that went away for a little while, and when they have the opportunity to voice their opinions and to see their ideas come to life, it reignites them. So we love being able to do that. An example of that too, we had a student who was super into animals, and he really wanted to do something for the animal shelter. So we made they did little name tags for all the animals at the animal shelter, so that each one of the animals would have their name tag on. And then they got to their whole community of students. That was one of the activities they did, and it took 2 days for them to complete all of them. And then they got to for the field trip. That's what they did, was go and deliver those to the animal shelter. What joy that brought to everybody. What joy that brought to the people that work at the animal shelter. That's not something that they're used to seeing. One of our students' parents works in the NICU, right? The neo intensive care, at the hospitals. We knitted hats for NICU babies. So the little bonnets that they wear. Some of their students have never touched sewing material or crochet material in their life, right? But they were so excited to do it. It made them feel good. That's not a field trip we could take. that didn't lead
Right,
that
right.
didn't
No
lead
one
to
could
a
take
field
that.
trip.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
but that did
yeah.
lead to a lot of conversations and a lot of talk about, what other people are going through, right? It also brings awareness for students to look outside of themselves when we do any sort of project like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's amazing. right? To have those different additional opportunities available to them to, like you said, not only learn and grow academically, but also socio-emotionally as well. And, building up their own internal sense of confidence too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. That it does exactly that.
So yeah, I was thinking, it's like, well, how is mental health important for the students? Like, no matter where they are, right? Like you said, you
Yeah.
kind of serve a diverse population of students, and whether it's their interest or their age, right, or where they're at developmentally, right, or even kind of any other kind of mental health um, concerns that they might have going on as well. And so you really kind of serve a wide variety of students there. And overall, I was kind of curious, like, how does Fusion like engage with the clients or support clients kind of in the mental health capacity?
Yeah, so you're exactly right. We do work with a lot of different students from a wide variety of backgrounds, and many of which are coming to us with some with some significant, mental health challenges, some with some things that aren't detected, until after we have worked with them for a little while, right? I mean, like our job as teachers and administrators is more that of an observer, and to report to parents what it is that we're observing, and let them go to folks like you, and other folks in the mental health industry to, further decide what might be going on, what interventions might need to take place. But you're exactly right. We work with so many different students that have a lot of different issues. I think, too, a common misconception, not just with our school, not just with schools, but with the population in general, is that I think a lot of people think that a mental health challenge or a mental health issue is always something. It has to be big to be called that, like it has to be bipolar or schizophrenia or some of the other more well-known things that a lot of us have kind of thought of throughout the years, when anxiety is a mental health challenge. ADHD can be a
And it
mental
gets those,
challenge.
both of those get a lot of press, right? It seems to me that the youth today are a lot more kind of comfortable with talking about, like, oh, I'm feeling more anxious, right? They're more comfortable talking about what they're experiencing kind of mental health wise. You observe that?
Yes, absolutely. Depression is part of your mental health, and so I think, again, there's this umbrella for mental health issues that not everybody believes that what's going on with them is a mental health challenge, and so a lot of times they don't seek help for those, because they see them as obstacles more than what could potentially be a larger issue that warrants a little bit more attention.
I see. Yeah. And so what you're saying is kind of like from like even like from a faculty, right? Kind of observation. Then if there are some kind of concerns that are noteworthy, then you'll bring that up to the parent to determine, like, so you may refer to outsource, you may refer them to anywhere like specific, like, do you guys provide them with resources, or like, how does that part work?
We absolutely do. We try to do as much as we can in-house as far as social emotional learning. We have student workshops. Our teachers are doing professional development trainings, all the time. We have 2 per year that we as a faculty do together. And then obviously we're encouraging our teachers to do those separately. But all that said, we don't have an in-house at Fusion Academy anyway. We don't have an in-house therapist. We don't have an in-house counselor, because to go back to our previous point, so many things of what our children and students are facing, it's not a one size fits all. And so it's really hard to have like just a counselor that can, kind of manage a lot of different things. So we do refer out. We, that's half of my role, basically, is meeting folks like you, meeting other mental health professionals, so that when families are asking us for resources, we're already trusted as their school, right? So we've already got this built-in trust and rapport with our families, so they do trust our recommendations for who we have met, who has worked with other students that are facing similar issues. So that is how we work exactly, Dalton, is that we do refer out for all of those services. whether it's for ADHD, anxiety, depression, if it's for maybe it's for a learning challenge, dyslexia, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, even occupational therapy, speech therapy. If there's a need that one of our students is needs filled, if there's an issue that we see that they need help with, or that the parents are reaching out to us for, then yes, we definitely try to build those relationships with the community so that we can wrap around those students.
Awesome. Yeah, because students can go through a wide variety of things, like anywhere from like peer pressure, right, to performance anxiety, right, and so yeah, at ISO, right, not only we have we work with clients who are within underneath the health plan of San Mateo umbrella, right, but we also do have some private paid clients as well.
Mhm.
So we'd be happy to support any of your students that can come along the way that if they're looking.
Absolutely, and we appreciate that. We need you. Our families need you. So greatly appreciate that.
The idea here is like really it's just seeking to provide them some support in a specific way based on what they're presenting with, right? That can kind of continue to help or can continue to support them in doing the thing that they want to do, or succeed in this particular way that they're looking to excel in. And so, but when you kind of think about this aspect of collaborative care, right, it's okay, you go to someone for this support, and you surround, it takes a village, right, as they say, right, it can take
It's
a
true.
village, and so you're just kind of surrounding them with the kind of like this support system to help them really at the end of the day kind of be the best that they can be.
Exactly. And for students who are coming to us with challenges that we're already fully aware of, we ask in the upfront conversations, let us know if you want us to coordinate care with you. Most families are very eager to say yes to that, meaning that our leadership team, mostly our heads of schools and our campus directors, those folks that are closest in communication with both the parents as well as the students as well as the teachers, if those folks need to be intimately involved in the outside care that those students are receiving, then we do that too. And it can be communication on a weekly basis. It can be communication more often than that. It can be as needed. It can be impromptu. If there's a situation that we're seeing at school and we see that a student needs, they need to talk to their counselor, their therapist, their psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever it is that they need support in, the day stops for that student. We find a private room for them to go to, and we reach out to that person that they need.
Oh, wow. So like immediate care, right?
Absolutely,
Immediate.
if
Yeah.
needed.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. If needed, right. And tailored to like you say, tailored to the needs.
Yes, there's
Yeah.
rooms that we have set up that are basically they stay empty classrooms on purpose for reasons like that. If a student needs to have their therapy session in the middle of the day, since we have flexible scheduling, we can do that. That way a student doesn't have to wait until the school days ended, their extracurriculars over. Now it's a 7 p.m. Zoom call with their therapist. They're already spent. So that's not going to be potentially the same cup filling therapy session that it needed to be or that was warranted. But when it gets to happen in the middle of the day, also when things are legitimately happening, like in real time. So if the stressor for that student was they were facing school avoidance or they do have anxiety, they can potentially be getting the help and services from therapists like you in the middle of their school day. I would encourage people to go onto our websites, any of the websites in the Pacific Northwest. Like I said, there's campuses in all over the Bay Area, South Bay, East Bay, right here in San Mateo area. Go to one of those websites, look at the events that we're hosting. There's always something for families and students and the community of mental health professionals, educational advocates, anybody who works to support adolescents in their health or education. We want you at our events. We're trying to build a community here at Fusion Academy. We're trying to show our families that that we want to wrap around them. We know that just a school is not, potentially, some cases it can, but sometimes it's not just school that's going to serve all the needs of their students. So we want them introduced to the service providers that can help. If they've plateaued in therapy, for example, maybe there's another therapist that they can be referred to. If they, it kind of aged out of the executive functioning teacher that they had in middle school and they need another one, we want those folks to come to our events so that our families can be introduced to them in an organic way. Not through Google, not just doing an online search. There's so little you can gather when you want your student to have the best and you want that fit to work. Why have a shadow day when you can actually meet the people that you want your student to connect with? So we're very much about including people in our open houses and workshops and our networking events. So there's, like I said, if you go into any of our websites, you'll find information. And once you sign up for one of those, unless you opt out of correspondence, you'll get further communication about the next event that's about to happen. So we've been hosting a series of webinars and we'll continue for the rest of the year. The last one was on the IEP process and, tips and tricks and strategies to get the most out of your individualized education plan. And that was led by a really high profile ed advocate and attorney based in LA, but he covers so much of the Bay Area and he's just a phenomenal asset to our families. There's going to be one coming up on ADHD and post-secondary counseling and just a myriad of topics that are just intended to make our families smarter about the options around them.
I love this idea of taken from this individualized approach, right? But also opportunities for students to build on their own skills and strengths, right? Tailoring even, school hours, right, to their interests, but then also this contributing to this idea of personal development and team building and even community involvement. That sounds like really awesome experience there that you guys offer.
Absolutely. It is. Yes. We want to build well-rounded humans. That's our goal and we're going to do that through personalized attention every day of the week.
Well, I really appreciate you joining this week and coming
Thank
in
you.
to talk to us about Fusion Academy and all that it has to offer. And thanks again for joining today.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much for having me. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in this week. If this conversation resonated with you, follow Now Serving a Site of Therapy on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. Be sure to click subscribe and leave a comment and share with others who may also enjoy. Check out our website at izotherapy.com, where you can contact us to be placed with a therapist who's the best fit for you.